What is up, guys? Welcome back. Me and Larson. I feel like it's probably been since college football bowl season that we've actually done a video. So it's been a few months, but we always do our conference tournament previews. We've done pretty well with these in the past. We found some good hedge spots, had some unlikely winners. Penn State, that was a great hedge spot. That one comes to
That's the
top of
goat.
mind.
That's the goat.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a little bit more chalky this year, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. But today, I mean, I think we should start at least. We'll start ACC, Big 12, and we'll give a mid-major sleeper. I think those are probably a little less interesting. I do want to give a sleeper for each conference, but starting with the ACC, I don't know if there's going to be any sleepers really here, so
Everyone's
I'll
a
let you go
sleeper.
first. So, I mean, we're both picking Duke, right? I mean, do you want to just get that out of the way?
I mean, it's definitely Duke. I think they're minus. I see like minus 350. Not
Yeah.
really in the business of laying that. It seems like the odds indicate what I think everyone who watched during the season would agree with, which is like you've got Duke up here, Louisville and Clemson behind, and then after that, steep drop off. Like North Carolina's 30-1, SMU's 60-1. Wake Forest, by the way, I've tweeted this out like 30 times the past like 2 or 3 years. Wake Forest does the same thing every year. They're on the bubble in February, and then they lose like 4 horrible games that they have to win. They did it again this year. They're 80-1, but they're the 4 seed. It shows you how kind of weak the ACC was this year. Do you have? I had like, I think we
I have a
texted at one
crazy one
point.
for this.
You got what?
I got a crazy one for this.
Okay, tell me the crazy one.
Pittsburgh.
Okay, convince me.
I know.
Convince me on
Yeah.
Pitt.
Okay. Look. They started off kind of strong to start the year. I was watching them recently. They played a tough game against Louisville. Listen to the path. They would have to beat Notre Dame, which is a challenge in and of itself. They may not even win that game. They're plus 24,000, by the way. This is why the only reason I'm even bringing this up. And then they play a very underachieving North Carolina team who may have already checked out after the last whipping they got against Duke. They're probably out of the tournament. And then they would play Wake Forest, and then you can get them in the semis against Duke. That's a decent hedge spot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The good part about that is that's probably, if you're looking for a path to the semis, that's the one you want to attack because I like Louisville and Clemson. So attack Wake Forest. UNC got kind of hot outside of like the Duke losses. They kind of played well to end the season. I still don't think they're going to make the tournament. They're probably one of the most inspired teams in the ACC in terms of tournament hopes when it comes to this tournament.
I mean, Pitt basketball. I mean, we're talking about a team that just fell on their face. I mean, they come
Yeah.
out, they whip West Virginia. They play a decent game against Wisconsin. They kind of got killed by Mississippi State, but then I mean, they just got like pummeled in ACC play. They did only lose to Wake Forest by 2 points, but they did not have a very good time at ACC play, which was kind of shocking. I kind of thought they would do a little better than that. I think I remember at one point they were up to like a projected 6 seed, and then they just fell off the face of the edge. So who knows? Maybe they get hot. Maybe this is NC State this year. Probably not. But
I bet them a few times early in the conference play, and they sold. And I said I can't do this anymore. They do have good guards. If you're looking for a team with good guards, like Jamal Lowe is a really nice guard for them. I think
other than that, I'm not inspired by any of your other choices here.
Well, I think at one point we had texted about like Georgia Tech, who's 250-1, because they went through a stretch where they kind of got hot. They were the only team. They're the only team to beat Louisville since Christmas. Georgia Tech.
Yep.
They beat Clemson in overtime. They've got some good wins. They played hot, but down the stretch just looked a little uninspired, and then getting crushed by Wake Forest in the season is just not good. So, and they got to play Duke next round if they win. So it's no on Georgia Tech for me. There's only one bet for me here, and it's Clemson, and I got Clemson at plus 700 because I like Clemson more than Louisville. Louisville's just very 3-point reliant, which obviously we've seen can win games, can also lose you games. It's a little Alabama-ish. But not to mention Rain Smith, their best shooter, is not healthy. He missed senior day on Saturday, and he missed their game last Wednesday, or he played in the game and he got hurt. I think it was against Cal. So we don't know how healthy he is. But like I said, Louisville, one loss since Christmas, which is really nice. But I think their schedule was a little bit easy. They played Clemson once, they played Duke once. Everybody else, they played Pittsburgh twice, the Pittsburgh corpse that we just talked about. And so I'm not sold on Louisville, but I am sold on Clemson. So plus 700, I think Duke has probably a top 5 defense in the country. And since February 1st, basically the last month of the season, Clemson's defense has been better than Duke. Clemson has the best defense in the conference, which is a really huge thing. Like I just mentioned, they'll probably play Louisville in the semis, who's not totally healthy. I think Clemson can beat Louisville, even though they lost the first matchup. But Clemson's D's gotten really solid. They grind games down. They slow games down. We saw them beat Duke. I know it was at home, but like you still beat Duke. I mean, not many teams have done that. And they've lost 5 games, and 3 of them are in overtime. I mean, that's a pretty impressive stat. I think they went to South Carolina and lost 2, which, looking back on it, yikes. But that was way early in the season. And I like the path. I think SMU and Stanford are the 6 and 7 seeds that they're going to play SMU. SMU's not very good away from home. I think it lines up pretty well, and you get good value because of how great Duke is. So I think it's a Duke Clemson championship, and Duke's probably going to win. But we've seen Clemson beat Duke already, and so plus 700 is not too bad.
I'm going to ride on that with you. I will say, official pick today. Yes, I'm picking Duke. I think the minus 350 favorite is going to be the popular pick here. We're not fools, but we're looking for some value here. Hey, and if somebody takes Pittsburgh, Godspeed, because I had to come up with something before the show. So
take Pitt or Georgia Tech and send it to us.
Pitt, Georgia Tech. You take one of the. Hey, the ACC tournament. That's the time to do it, man. We saw it with NC State last year. So I
think last year we took I threw out Boston College.
We took somebody. We took somebody like Boston College, and I think they lost in the first round.
Won the first game. That's all you need. Then you can start hedging. But there's not too many. It's such a weak ACC. Didn't we say this last year too? Last year we were like, this is the weakest the ACC's been, and then this year it's even worse.
Yeah,
worse.
Okay. Yeah. No. The next one. I feel like we got another pretty strong favorite here. Let's go ahead and move on to the Big 12. We'll say the Big 10, the ACC, and the Big East. Those are, I think, my three most intriguing ones. So for the Big 12, Houston obviously the heavy favorite. Probably Iowa State, probably not too far behind them. And then there's some decent teams kind of in the mix. Arizona's there. BYU's been playing really well of late. I feel like BYU is going to be a trendy pick. But anyways, I have a sleeper, and it's funny to call them a sleeper because I don't think you could really ever call Blue Blood a sleeper, but I just don't think you should write off Kansas even as poorly as they're playing.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Bill Self's a good coach. Bill Self is kind of on that revenge arc now after he had to release that statement. I think people are kind of talking about him on Kansas, like socials and stuff. He's still a great coach. Hunter Dickinson is still a great player, even though he's annoying. They've got good guards. I worry a little bit about them, like their inconsistency. Like they are a completely different team away from Lawrence, but you're getting them 14, 15-1 against Arizona, who they beat, I believe already. Let me double check.
Yeah, they can beat Arizona.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I was going to look at that. It was on my list. I just worry about that inconsistency. Arizona's not a bad shout, like plus 800 or 900. I think BYU is going to be trendy, like you said. We saw BYU trendy last year. I can't get on board with any of those. Houston's minus money. I mean,
I see Houston at plus 105, which is still, you may as well be minus money. Yeah,
still nice. Yeah, which Houston should have really no problem with whoever comes out of probably the 8-9 game there. I don't see Houston struggling at all.
Well, this iteration of this Houston team can actually shoot, which has always been the problem in the past.
Yeah.
They still have length. They still have the ability to rebound. I don't know if I'm going to be able to trust them whenever I'm filling out my bracket. I don't know if I'll just get the natural, just sour stomach that I've picked Houston to go so far, so long, so many times because the guard play, the length, the rebounding. But at the end of the day, their shooting just keeps letting them down and time and time again. But they actually have guys who can score on this team. So I think Houston is extremely dangerous. And I hate to be a square, but if you're giving me an official pick, I'm going to go ahead and say you should probably take Houston.
Especially if it's at plus money. I've seen minus money everywhere. You said if plus 105 is enough to take Houston in my book. I have one I love, and I have one here I'm kind of on the fence about, but I still like it. I'll start with Iowa State plus 700 is one I'm kind of on the fence about. And, they were plus 700 I see plus 550 now. They're the 5 seed. They have to play an extra game over the 4 seed BYU, who has worse odds, like 9-1, 10-1. So it just shows you kind of how good Iowa State is. But I like Iowa State. I've liked them all year. I have a future on them. I think 18-1 to win the championship. We saw them go through a bit of a skid when they were unhealthy. But this is a team that when they're healthy, I think up until maybe a week ago, they had only one loss when they were healthy, and it was by 2 to Auburn. So this is a team that when they have all their guys, they're really good. They had a really fluky loss at home last Tuesday against BYU when Iowa State just could not hit a shot at home. And BYU, I think, had 25 turnovers. Iowa State had like 6, and it went to double overtime. So fluky loss. But I love Iowa State. I love the value. I'm not worried about the 12-13 game. They should take care of 2 teams there that are absolutely reeling. They can beat BYU. Like I said, it was just a fluky loss at home. And then you're going to get to the semis against Houston. Physical game. We saw Iowa State, shorthanded Iowa State with some injuries that went to Houston and actually was in that game to the end when I don't think anybody gave them a chance, which is inspiring. But they play a slow tempo, and a physical game that'll match Houston. I think they can at least hang around that and win that. So I'm cool with plus 700. I like a lot about Iowa State. I think they can make it. And I have one more. And it's on the bottom half of the bracket. And it was going to be Kansas. I was trying to think of, to come with 2 games. I was going to be Kansas, but I can't shy away from how Texas Tech has played. I really like them a lot. Grant McCaslin's a really good coach. They got him from North Texas, and he's been pretty amazing. And even like the losses, which there are many for Texas Tech, are all good losses, close losses. They lost to Iowa State in overtime. They lost to Houston in the game that they were in. I got them plus, what did I get? Plus 450 for Texas Tech. Here's the key though, is they're so deep. They are so deep. They can play 9 guys, legitimately 9 guys. So 3 games in 3 days is what you've got to win this tournament. And that really shouldn't be an issue. Not to mention most of them are guards, 5 quality guards. They've got good forwards. JT Toppin is like an All-American guy. Like if you haven't heard of JT Toppin, you need to watch him because he's incredible. So I'm not worried about the games in 3 days or anything like that. Path is not too bad. Kansas State is incredibly inconsistent. They were horrible. They had a stretch of 5 or 6 games where they were like a legitimately top 10 team in the country for that stretch, and now they're back to being bad. Baylor's really bad away from home. I think it's a bit of a disappointment, even though the Big 12's good. A bit of a disappointment for Baylor this season. And I'm not even worried about like Texas Tech playing Baylor. I think Texas Tech should be able to handle that easily. They did in the regular season at least. And then the semis against Arizona, where they split this season. And I trust the coaching. I love the coaching. Arizona feels like a little bit of a letdown every March. We see it usually in the tournament, but it could be here. And I'm going to trust Texas Tech because shooting, defense, and depth, they can hang around with anybody, and they can beat Houston. They match up with Houston well. I can't remember if they did beat Houston or if they lost a close game. They were in the game with Houston. They beat them in overtime. That's what it was. They beat them in overtime on the road. That's what it was. So I love Texas Tech plus 450. That's the big one for me in this conference.
Nice. I guess we can go out. I'm going to give out. I know you probably have a few more than I do. Give out some mid-major picks, some sharp plays that people may not be entirely hip to. My first one is I love UC Irvine. I'm going to go UC Irvine. I think they're the 2 seed in the Big West. Yes. I don't think they're the 1 seed, so it's not too square of a pick. They might still be minus money, but I'm going to go with UC Irvine. Strong defensive team.
That's true, and you know why they're not the 1 seed though is because a team that has been so much fun to follow and to watch. It's UC San Diego.
Yeah,
my Tritons are like minus 150 to win this. The key is going to be if UC Irvine does win the Big West. I think UC San Diego should get an at-large into the tournament. I mean, they great offense, great shooting. They're so much fun to watch. I think they're so ripe for like a 5-12 upset to be the 12 seed. I like both of those teams. I really think the winner of that conference, whether it's San Diego or Irvine, has a good shot to do something. I'd love to see both of them get in. Rooting for both. I have a few. I'll mention some more tomorrow too. I think one of the big ones I like is in the Mountain West, and I took 2 in the Mountain West.
Utah State.
I can't take Utah State. There was something off about Utah State. They're the 3 seed, but I'll take the 2 seed. I took Colorado State plus 350 because they've just been playing. I think it's like the last month of the season. They've played basically the best in the conference. That's a team that's playing really well. They've gone on the road and they've beaten basically all of the other good teams in the Mountain West, New Mexico, Utah State. So I like that path. They're pretty clear. Like looking at like since February 1st, they're 25 spots higher than anybody else in the conference. They've really played well and a great shooting team. I think they're top 5 in 3-point percentage. I like that. Plus 350. And I also took San Diego State. They're the 4 seed, plus 750. This is kind of a legacy play, an experience play, because they're going to have to play the 1 seed New Mexico in the semifinals. But Brian Dutcher's a great coach. We've seen San Diego State obviously do it in big games in March, whether it's the conference tournament or the big dance. And I think this is a team as a 4 seed that they still play the tough defense. They force a lot of turnovers, and there's not that much of a drop off in the Mountain West. Like we're not talking about the ACC here. New Mexico being the 1 seed, being much better. New Mexico actually recently is middle of the pack. So I think San Diego State's ripe to make a run there. So I took the Aztecs and took Colorado State in the Mountain West. And yeah, I have a few more. Some of them are crazy, which I'll wait till tomorrow. I was throwing on like 50 to 1s and stuff, but yeah, we'll do more on the one tomorrow. I like a little bit of the Mountain West there. I like those two.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about the Big East. I'm excited to talk Big East. So
Big East will be nice.
That wraps up this one, though. Hope we gave you some sharp plays. I don't know if we have Penn State lurking this year. I'm very worried we're going to get another chalky tournament similar to last year, but we'll see.
We'll find one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.